In this culvert design with wing walls, we have multiple surfaces created by corridors, which are reference surfaces. And you can see in the 3D window here that there are surfaces representing a sub-excavation for a culvert pipe, the pipe itself, walls to hold back the fill from the road, and then we have the road surface. This is an interesting design to build with our RoadEng software. Let's go through the process of completing this design right from scratch. We'll start the culvert design with a simple and very short alignment that crosses over a gully, and it's running from south to north, and the profile is a simple minus 0.5% grade. You can see that it crosses over this gully, which is a few meters deep. There is a natural creek at the bottom. I'm just using a stock template from the installed template table. And let's look at this in 3D. And in fact, I think I'm going to use a screen layout here that I've prepared for this example, which has this kind of organization. So we can see in the 3D window there is a representation of the designed road, the original ground. Let's clean that up a bit. So first thing I'm going to do is in the 3D options window, I'm going to create a new surface to represent the road itself. This is a corridor surface. And I'm going to display the final merge surface for the road, and I'm going to make that red. I'd also like to display the original ground. So I'm going to turn on the surface display, and I'll make that transparent. Now there's not a lot of cross sections being calculated here. This might be fine for a long alignment, but for this alignment where we want to be very accurate and see the surfaces as carefully rendered as possible, just going to change the number of cross sections that we have in our alignment here. I'm going to display cross sections every 1 meter by updating the auto interval points spacing. There we go. So that's just a little more accurate. And now I'm ready to create a culvert alignment along the bottom. So I could use the culverts tool to add a culvert in the software. That won't give me any options for sub-excavating for the culvert or building wing walls or anything else. It might be all we need for a design, but in this case we want to go a little further. So I want a new alignment here. I'm going to call it culvert. Plus excavation. Don't need a template just yet. And again, I'm going to draw this roughly from south to north, somewhere over here up to somewhere over here. And you can see the slope stakes from the road. I want to start outside of those and end also outside of them, and I want to be in the bottom of the creek gully. What should that cross section look like? I'm excavating the ground, and I've created a template for that. This template here, if you put it below the surface, cuts the ground out and places a pipe. The pipe doesn't have volumes. It's just for reference so you can see it. This does have cut, so you can see it's cutting away the ground there. And that was just created from some standard components that came out of our e-library. In particular, I think those are in the slopes components. There it is. slopes 8. Okay, so that template looks like it's going to do the job, and I'm just going to assign it along the length of my culvert. Now I'm not seeing it in the 3D window, so again, I want to put in a reference surface, a corridor surface, and again, I want to make sure I have lots of cross sections. There's other places where you can access reference surfaces. For example, I can go into the cross-section window here and say, yes, I want a reference surface displayed. Doesn't exist yet. Let's add it. I want to add a corridor surface that represents the culvert plus excavation. I can use final merge surface or strip or subgrade surface. Either one will work because the pipe doesn't actually do anything. And let's give it a different color. And I want to display it here, not that one. I want to display it here in my cross section too. Actually, I don't need to at this point. I will later. Anyway, there it is. I'm still getting nothing in the cross section. That's because I haven't done the vertical alignment yet. Let's just design the vertical alignment for the bottom of the pipe. It should be a straight line. So I built a profile here that's just a little bit below ground. You can see it in the cross-section window, and I'm just going to tweak that until I get it the right depth. That looks about right. And similarly, that looks about right there. And now you can see it in the 3D window. However, notice that the road is now opaque and I can't see through it, so I'm just going to fix that. This is the road surface, and I'll just make that transparent. Let's make the culvert visible in the profile and the 3D window. In the profile, I'm just going to add a template coat. PTL template coat is at the top of the pipe. And now let's make that also visible in the 3D. I'm going to add 2 more corridor surfaces to represent the pipe itself. If we look in the template, we'll see that this is SRF4, surface 4 above subgrade, and the bottom part of the pipe is SRF5, so I can add those to my corridor surfaces. At this point, it's wise to recalculate all corridors. And you can see the pipe sticking out of the fill in the 3D window. I haven't got any display happening in the plan window, but that would be as simple as adding some more point codes if necessary. So we've reached the point where we've designed a culvert with excavation and a road over top of it, and it looks pretty good. Now comes the part where we want to add in the wing walls. To add the wing wall features, first of all, let's make the profile a little bigger. I'm going to be working in there. And I'd like to display the top of the road, or the merged surface for the road. I've already got that surface. I just need to add it to my display list. The whole point of the retaining wall or wing wall is to shorten the culvert and reduce the fill a little bit. So I can see in the profile here that if we put in a wall, say here, it'll be about 5 meters tall, and it will reduce the length of the pipe. We can see where that lies in the plan if you watch my cursor moving there, and also in the 3D. Similarly, back here around that point there, just off the side of the edge of subgrade, is the spot where we want to put in the wall. I'm going to make it easier on myself by actually shortening the culvert first. That's easily done. I can just modify it in the plan window. So here we go. Make it a little bit shorter. Keep it in the bottom of the valley. And there we've got about a, well, it looks like a little more than 5 meters. I'm just going to make it a little bit longer there. Okay, so that's the end of my culvert. And we're going to go and do the same to the other end. Just move it back and keep doing that until I get to the place where I think the height there is just around 5 meters. It's just arbitrary. I've chosen that to be my cutoff point. Okay, so I modified the alignment. Two things. When you do that, you will change your start station if you modify the beginning of the alignment. I'll put it back to 0. And the other thing, of course, is that the profile got deleted. So I'm gonna put my profile back in. And again, I need to go just underneath the ground at both ends of my culvert. And I'll fine tune that in the section window as I did before. Now let's create an alignment to represent the south wing wall. It's roughly perpendicular to the pipe, which I can see in the background, or at least I can see the center line. It's near the end, and now I need to give it some a profile and also a template. This template here, wing wall 2, well, you'll see it in a second in the cross section. Of course, I have to remember to assign it. There we go. Doesn't look like much yet. It's just a little sub-excavation, a little footing for the wall. But as soon as I start adding some vertical alignment there, you'll see how it works. There's my wall. And that is going to block the, there's the roadway, the top of the roadway. So that's higher than the roadway. Now we need to extend it right to the edge of the slope stake for the road, so we catch all the fill. So I'll extend it this way, roughly parallel to the road, and similar over here. I think I'll go to that point there. Again, I'm just outside the road slope stake, and you can see that now when I finish my vertical alignment like so, my wall, whoops, is above the road surface, the road fill surface all the way. from one end to the other. It also, oh, it should stop on the ground. Maybe I need to extend it a little bit on this end. That's better. Again, I've created a surface here, but I need to explicitly make it into a corridor surface if I want to see it in my 3D and in other places too. Just like the previous features, we're also going to add lots of extra points every meter. Now these vertical alignment points should probably be lined up with the horizontal alignment points, just to make it simpler to build this wall. So I jump over to the horizontal alignment panel and move to the intersection point there. Note the station. Oh, probably a good idea to set my station to 0 at the start of the wall. That'll make things easier to understand. So that kink in the plan is at station 8.296, and I'll just make the vertical intersection point at exactly the same station. And we'll do that for the next one as well. It was lined up perfectly already. Now it's a bit higher than it needs to be. I'm not seeing the roadway in the section window. Let's put it in there. Reference surface, roadway, and there we go. So we want it to be a little bit above, but not too much above. So I'll just adjust that a little bit. And the next point is the end, and the previous point, that looks good. Okay, so I think we've got a wall that's reasonable here. Now, two things. The wall should go down to the excavated culvert trench, and I'm not even seeing that in here. Let's add it. Okay, there it is in the profile, and if we take a look at the cross-section here, it's referencing the ground. I want it to reference the culvert excavation, so I'm going to change the nature of that corridor. So the culvert excavation, there it is. I'm going to merge that into TOPO so that anything that comes after it will see that as the final merged surface, and it will use that as the reference surface. For this to work properly, the order of the alignments is important. So the culvert has to come before the wing wall because the culvert modifies the original ground. And note that it says merge there. Okay, that's good. You can, well, we don't have that extra surface in there. If I was looking here, I would expect to see it. And again, I probably should have just added it here to begin with. There it is, a little piece of it anyway. I think I may have just gone too far, so the edge of my wall is actually, oh no, it looks okay. Yeah. Let's do the same on the other end. I'm not seeing the slope stakes in the plan window. Recalculate all should fix that. Okay, we're almost done. The walls are in the right place. If I display the walls here, we're only seeing that one because that's where the cross section intersects. We can see them both in 3D. Now I'd like to make sure that the roadway doesn't spill over the wall. All I need to do is move the road down until it's after all these other features. It was quite useful having it on there first so I could reference it, but as I move it down, it uses the other merged surfaces to, oops, I haven't defined the wing walls yet as merged surfaces. Let's do that. Notice that I can, oh, I thought I could do that in here. No, that's version 11, I guess. Notice that the terrain surfaces, my culvert excavation is a merged surface. It's merged into the original ground, but I need to do that for both of my wing walls. And now recalculate everything. And there, the ground or the fill from the road no longer floods over the wing wall, and we're getting a pretty reasonable display in the 3D. I'm just going to tweak a couple of things here. Let's make these opaque. There we go. That looks better. Okay, I think we're finished. There might be a few things I can do to add some features to the display. Currently we're looking at the roadway, so cross sections here show the roadway cross section, and if I move to the to where it intersects the pipe, you can see the excavation down there. We should also be able to see the pipe if I add it to my reference surfaces, and we could also see the walls. Let's just put them all in. So as I move back along the alignment here, there we go. There's the pipe, and there's the wall. You can kind of see by where my mouse moves what cross section we're looking at there. And if I move ahead a little bit, the pipe is moving towards the center. We're going off the edge of the wall, and all that's also visible in the 3D, of course, too. Yeah, and I might want to display more in my profile if I so desire. And each of these alignments would need to be selected to do some sort of output like multiplot, for example. We don't currently have a multi-alignment multiplot, so you would do them one at a time. Good, that's pretty much it. And just to finish off where I started, let's go into 3D and change the road to be opaque so it looks like it'll look when somebody drives on it. Maybe not quite so colorful. You can see the pipe sticking out there. It's on the other side as well. Well, looks like I made it stick out a lot on the other side. That pipe is transparent, which is why we can kind of see through it. And again, maybe that's an option I want to change in my 3D options for final display. Opaque. There we go. These surfaces are not perfect. There are little glitches where the cross sections cross over each other. At the end here, we're having a tiny glitch where there's no cross section where we need one. Those are the kinds of things that can be cleaned up in the terrain module if necessary, but the basic concept of the design is complete.